Today we will be talking about Death Becomes Her. I remember a lot of their whole rivalry and them fighting. I didn't like it that much.
These ladies are fucking each other up.
I don't think they do a good job of it, though.
Stop! She's already dead! I guess I can see where this is kind of a gay movie. She does get the business.
Not that business.
Welcome to Yestalgia. I'm Basil.
Drew.
And I'm Amanda.
And today we will be talking about Death Becomes Her. I did mention in the episode before this one that we are doing a group of special Halloween ones. A, they're all supposed to be some form of horror, and then B, where we lift any restrictions we normally put on our choices. Although in this case, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that had seen it before.
Yeah, you are.
Well, hold on. Let's do the summary before we get into any of that.
Brief synopsis. Death Becomes Her is a story about a vain actress married to a plastic surgeon and an author of beauty books who both attempt to gain eternal youth only to discover some unpleasant side effects. Highly unpleasant.
So in terms of having seen the film, I have seen it a number of times, though at this point it has been quite a few years since the last time I saw this movie. I don't know when I saw it first. I want to say sometime in my teenage years. That's like usually where I have seen a lot of these kinds of movies that I remember really well. I used to love it because it's kind of like campy and, you know, dumb in that way that I really like. Usually. So yeah.
Campy is a good word for it. I was surprised to learn just through very cursory Google searches that this is considered like a pride film of sorts. I was like, okay. I guess since I'm talking, I'll go ahead and say I'm holding the talking stick, so I'll keep going. My experience with this movie is, as I said, never seen it, but I do vividly remember the trailers.
My mom was watching it on TV, and I was, in and out. At certain points, I would stop and kind of see what was going on, but I wasn't really watching it at all. When I was about 12, I think.
I can start if you want.
Basil, take it away.
So this was my pick, and I feel like I remembered this movie so differently. You know what I mean? Like, I remember a lot of their whole rivalry and them fighting once they are immortal going on for way longer than it does in the film. And then I didn't like it that much. Not that it's horrible, because there are parts of it that I do really like, but otherwise I don't think it's to my taste anymore, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to have trouble with this one. It lost me in the very beginning, and it never found me. I kept expecting, I'm like, something's going to grab me, something's going to catch me eventually, and it literally never did. Just for anyone who has not seen this movie came out in 1992, and it does have, I will say, and this might be the reason why you remember it more fondly than you do now, it hits so much of that early mid-90s nostalgia check boxes, and I almost can't even put that into words. It's, the actresses are beautiful. Bruce Willis is in it, and I didn't know that, or at least I didn't remember it.
Hard to tell it's him unless you know.
It took me a while.
Once you hear his voice, you can kind of tell, but with hair and a mustache, it's one thing. Then
and the glasses.
Yeah, seeing him younger too.
Yeah, he doesn't look like himself.
It's his voice where you're like, oh shit, is that Bruce Willis? Because I watched this on a laptop with a very tiny screen. But after that opening scene where he is just jaw on the floor over, is her name Meredith? No. Madeline. Damn, I was close.
Or Madeline.
Yeah, she had him fucked up right from the get-go. And the movie is very predictable in that 90s kind of way. It's a predictable 90s catfight movie with, humorous, I don't know if gruesome is too heavy of a word, kind of like,
it is kind of. I wouldn't argue if someone said gruesome. There are some gruesome parts. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of cartoon.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's almost like slapstick isn't enough and gruesome is too much, but it's like, these ladies are fucking each other up in fucked up way and fucking themselves up. When she fell down those stairs for 5 minutes, I was like, ooh, stop. She's already dead.
To touch on the like catty rivalry thing, what I find interesting is in my memory, the rivalry was about the man. But maybe it's just because I'm looking at it with adult eyes where I'm kind of like, he could be like the last wrinkly olive at a salad bar and they would still fight about it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was them.
You're right.
Yeah. It was this kind of jealousy, regardless of what it was, that they wanted what the other had, which, and there's some interesting things because like, I think one could argue that there's a portion of this that is sort of skewering a lot of things in Hollywood, right? Like particularly actresses and just this sort of idea about vanity and beauty.
And rivalry.
Yeah, I don't think they do a good job of it though. You know what I mean? In terms of if that is the message, getting that message across, I don't think is 100% successful, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, no, I did not, for the longest, I was like, how do they know each other? It was obvious that they did know each other because
They make reference to it.
Helen's
the writer.
okay, she goes into Madeline's dressing room in the very beginning and they're like, and it starts off with this sort of, I guess I can see where this is kind of a gay movie because they sort of have this very queenly relationship with one another where she's just asking her assistant, oh, how does Helen look? And the assistant is like, oh, she looks studious or something like that. And she, if I understood what I was seeing correctly, she made the assistant make Helen and her husband wait.
Her fiance, yeah.
Yeah. That's very important. Yes, he was just the fiance. That's a very important distinction.
Yeah, they hadn't gotten married yet because she basically says this was a test for him.
It was a test.
For him, though, specifically, too, which is interesting.
That part did fuck me up.
Madeline has a tendency of taking her bows, and so she wanted to test him before they got married.
Yeah, and she says, you do it just because you want to. Like, it has nothing to do with them. You do it because you want to rub my face in it.
Have what I have. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. You want to take the things that I have, yeah.
And when you get to that part, that's way, way later on in the movie where she spells it out. Helen spells it out black and white.
Yeah.
And so thinking back on that opening scene, this probably would be a good movie for someone to watch twice. Just for things like that, because it gives that opening scene a whole sadder meaning. It's like, yeah, on its face, it sucks because it is clear as day what's going to happen. It's super predictable.
Yeah.
The actress is going to take the fiance away from the frumpy little writer.
Yeah.
I also didn't get that she was a writer until I was like searching for the description.
Not apparent right away.
Yeah, there's so many things about this movie that I was just like, huh?
Also, I think it was pretty silly of her to give him that test in the first place.
I don't.
But knowing that Madeline tends to take her boyfriends away.
To me, that's a requirement.
Yeah.
I would have been like, get your ass over here and submit your ass to Madeline. How do you feel? Pretty fucking horny for Madeline? All right, I've seen all I need to see. On to the next one.
It's seeing if this person is actually worth your time. Do you know what I mean? If they can resist this temptation, then because she knows it's a temptation technically, because she knows even if the person is not initially interested in Madeline, that she will try.
Well, then in that case, the extremity of her reaction is kind of...
That I agree with. It's a little overblown. It's like you knew the possibility that he was disposable.
Yeah.
The whole system that you've built is, I need to know if I can just let this one go because it failed the test that I set up for very specific reasons. But then you went, and I'm sorry, I felt very called out by the state of her house. I was like, oh, I know this is supposed to be disgusting. I was like, oh no, she lives in my house with 9 million cats. And she's just sort of like eating herself to death and obsessively watching this one scene over and over. Yeah. And I kind of thought that was funny.
Yeah. She was waiting even when the police were trying to take her out of her house just to see Madeline get strangled one more time.
Over and over. She carried the remote. The remote was still in her hands when the police dragged her out of that apartment. That part was funny. Do feel bad for all those 19 cats though after she went to
Right.
jail. What happened to these poor cats?
They went to a no-kill shelter. We'll just
They went
pretend
to a
that's what
ranch.
happened.
They became the Jellicle cats.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, no.
I do think that it is interesting now that you put it that way, that I interpreted it as like, oh, this is a test for him. Why does she get so mad about this one out of all of them, right? Like, why is this the thing that sort of turns the tide for her in terms of this really obsessive need to seek revenge, right? Why is it this one? Why is it this time that she's snapped?
Well, the real answer is movie.
I know.
True.
But your movie has to kind of make that an actual thing, right? But because, like I said, he could be just gum on the bottom of your shoe, and it would just be like, well, you have gum on the bottom of your shoe, so I want it, right?
Exactly. It was very childlike,
Yeah.
the thing that these two ladies were going through together. And I think the thing that confuses me is, sure, we all get to that straw that broke the camel's back where you're just like, I could almost put myself in that position where I'm just like, fuck it. Madeline is going to wreck my shit no matter what I do. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have 15 cats and I'm going to treat myself well. I'm going to continue to write my books and work on my career. I'm going to swear off men forever for the rest of my life. But she spiraled so quick. She would just hit that self-destruct button and then she ends up in a psychiatric ward and still can't even bring herself to speak about anything but Madeline.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, does end up obviously getting married to, what is his name? The plastic surgeon man.
I don't know, because in a lot of ways, he's not important.
No, he's not. They try to make him important at some points in the film, and I think that's what...
Yeah, it is Ernest. Yeah, well, and it's interesting because I think maybe he's supposed to be like the one we root for, and I'm like, but I don't. He sucks.
He could have died. He could have disappeared and died very early on, and the movie almost makes you think, damn, this fool's not doing... It doesn't make you think that. It tells you. This fool, now that he's been married to this totally, like, she's not a good person. Am I right? Madeline. I'm talking about Madeline. She's not a good person.
Neither of them are. That's the thing.
Right. But man, that was another thing that I didn't understand was it just the movie's way of saying this is what a vapid fucking destructive, toxic person Madeline is. Like, no matter who she's around, she's going to suck them dry and drive them into a spiral of self-destruction because he does it too. Yeah. He was the one that wanted her. He was the one that ditched Helen for her. And we all of a sudden got a time skip and we see this guy sleeping in the floor with his pager going off. His career is in shambles. He is no longer a doctor. He is now, and this is important, he is no longer working on living patients as a plastic surgeon. He's doing mortuary cosmetics in a very extreme way. Yeah. But he's lauded for his talent by other characters here and there.
Secret? Paint.
Yeah. The spray paint. Which is like, bitch, why are you upset? You asked.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to clarify for anyone who hasn't seen it, there's a part where a woman said, oh, you did a great job on my aunt or something, whatever. It was so great. How do you do it? And then he's like, oh, the secret is actually spray paint. But he sort of then goes on to explain that it's like mannequin paint. And then she like starts getting this horrified look on her face and excuses herself really quick. And it's like, you asked, what did you expect? You were like, what are the secrets of the trade, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it was on a dead body.
Yeah.
Yeah, the job is the job, I guess. But I think that it was his delivery because he was very like, I'm going to hit you with these, what am I trying to say?
Trade secrets.
I'm going to hit you with my trade secrets. Yeah. And he does it very bluntly and very kind of like seriously. I want to believe that a mortician, is that the name of the person that does up the body? Is it the mortician?
Sometimes, and sometimes not. Because funeral homes, depending on how big your community is, might be doing multiple jobs. Do you know what I mean? His job is specifically only the painting part, right? Like, as far as we can tell, nothing else. But that's because they're in Hollywood. So because there's so many people and there are more people to take on specialized jobs. So I think Morticians don't necessarily always do the makeup, is what I'm trying to say.
Somebody let us know and also tell us some Buck Wild stories. My point was that if that was my job and that was my method of getting my work done, and somebody came up to me, and this is just me, this is all, like different personalities, whatever, I would have made something up because I'm like, I need to say something sensitive. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. This movie, y'all, it took what? Literally like half an hour to start to get spooky. It took a long time.
Yeah. That's the other thing. I forgot how plotting it is. Not plot, because the beginning is plotting is what I'm saying. Because like, again, I remembered all the exciting stuff. So I thought more of the movie was that. And it isn't. Like, there's a lot of explanation on how did we get here, right? Where I do think we didn't have to spend that long on it. Maybe I'm an asshole.
When it does get spooky, it's like, bam. Like, all of a sudden, it got, like computer graphics spooky with the glowing little pink potion.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to say her name started with an L. I'm talking about the lady that was...
Isabella Rossellini. That's the actress.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, she reminded me of a vampire, like right off the bat. So good job, movie.
Liesel,
yeah. Oh, how do we get to Liesel, first of all?
When Madeline is going to see Helen, because Helen has put out a book on like how to stay young and beautiful, right? Of course, we later find out it is that immortality potion.
Lie.
So she goes to like a beauty salon, something more specialized than that. I know they have a bunch of them in LA, but basically it's like a place to kind of get different kinds of procedures that are supposed to help you be young.
Just like an esthetician.
Yeah, kind of like, because I'm sure it's the kind of place where you could also get like Botox, right? Or like all those like freezing things they do to your face, or like that thing where they bring the blood to the surface. These are all things that are done now. But I think that was sort of the place, and they were sort of, there's only so much we can do for you, girl. And also, you're coming last minute. And the results you want, you are not going to get in the short amount of time you want it done. And then a guy that's like a higher up is like, hey, maybe try out this person or something. He gives her a card.
Hang on. First of all, he goes and turns off the camera.
Yeah.
And he has this sort of like voice and look about him. And it's very clear that he's sending her to the spooky magic person of this movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then doesn't she also, I don't remember if this was before she goes to this spa place or after, but we kind of find out that is she cheating on Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
With
this young boy, basically.
They might as well be fucking 5 years old, these dudes. And, they're young dudes. They're doing their own thing, too.
It's only one guy, isn't it?
Yeah, that they show.
It is only one guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but Helen suggests that it's multiple.
Yeah. Which maybe they are like essentially like boyfriends, and that at some point she breaks up with one and then she gets a different boyfriend, right? It's not necessarily that she is currently always...
One time, yeah, right?
Yeah, at one time. But either way, cheating on your partner, it sucks.
Well, she does get the business from this guy. He is basically...
Not that business.
Not that business. She gets the verbal business from him where he's just like... There's one thing that he said that I was like, ooh, I would turn your ass over my knee. He says something like, God, what does he say?
People like look at us or like laugh at us when we go out together or something like that.
Together.
How do you think that makes me feel?
Yes.
You never think about my feelings.
And you don't think about my feelings. Right after he says something like, when we're together and people see us together, they laugh at us. They think we look ridiculous. I was like, even if that's true, you don't say that. That's mean.
Yeah, what a fucking burn. Like, that was nasty. Yeah. But it is that is the thing that kind of makes her kind of end up at Liesel's, because
she was a wreck.
Yeah, she's a mess, because of course she is. She just got basically murdered with words.
And he said,
for real.
You need to find someone your own age.
She technically has someone her own age.
Yeah.
A lot of this movie made me sad because it's kind of so real. Like, I know that it's exaggerated. And like Basil said in the beginning, it's supposed to be campy and it's supposed to be like dramatic and over the top. But it's so fucking real, the way people, and here I go, the way people treat aging women.
Yeah. Which I think is like one of the parts that I kind of like about it. Because like I said, like I don't like it the way I used to, right? But I do think, especially as someone who is a woman, who is starting to age, and who does have these like deep insecurities about it, I think there is something to showing that aspect of, especially if you are someone who's like an actress or something, you know, where essentially your commodity is your youth and your looks, right?
Yes.
Which is
yes.
the case for women in general, unfortunately, but even
Yeah.
more so if you are an actress.
Yeah, that's your career.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Moneymaker.
Even though I know how the whole movie ends, right? I know what's gonna come. But when I saw that her boobs got a lift and her ass got a lift, I was like, ooh, maybe worth it though. Like, maybe worth it. And being able to, because Helen becomes really overweight too. So, like, basically her spiral after losing Ernest is she gains a lot of weight. She stops working, I believe. She clearly is not taking very good care of herself in any way.
Her hair is a wreck.
Yeah, and her house is a mess. But there's an implication a couple times that she got thin from the potion too, which, like, again, it's like, wow, I see why somebody would take this. Because, well, there's Ozempic going around a lot. That's a whole thing lately. And it is not like it's not something I've considered. You know what I mean?
Listen to me.
On
When I
death, it's
tell
never
you,
a true gift, is a curse.
Yeah. Well, I have an argument about that too, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Drew, when I say to you, there's a reason that the camera shots with their hands were so prominent. Because for me, I was like, fuck it. I will be as huge as a house. I will be the oldest bitch on earth. But can you make my hands not look like the wizened old hands of a dwarven miner? Like, I'm only however old I am, which y'all know.
Just leave me my hands.
My head should not look like this. I look like a goddamn Halloween witch. All I need is like some hot talon nails and paint them purple, and you know I can be out here scaring the kids on Halloween with just my fucking hands.
Do get fat, and then you're gonna have chubby hands. No, but there is enough there that I'm like, man, do I get it? Because you can't really reverse aging, right? But you can get thinner in different ways. But I have seen people who say, when I weighed more, I got treated worse. They get treated better because they're thinner, right? And people get treated better when they're beautiful, and people get treated better when they're young, right? So I get it. Like, I get why you would want to do that. Like, even knowing what happens at the end, it is a tempting thing.
So I am enjoying a certain level of invisibility right now. And I'm loving it. I am right before, like up to the millisecond before my child was removed from my body, people thought that I was in my 20s. And I really don't think that it was just people flattering me. I think it was genuine. But the second that she was placed in my arms on the hospital bed, I looked like the fucking crypt keeper, or at least I started to. At least that's how I felt. And the child is 4 years old now. She's aging me every day, every minute of every day. She's not here right now. She's aging me. I have never felt so...
So what?
I'm not a girl anymore. I'm a lady. Like, I'm no longer that girl in accounting. I'm that lady in accounting. And I'm fucking fine with it. I understand what these bitches in this movie were going on about. I really do, because that was their bread and butter. But for me, I'm like, oh, girl, just, I know you're an actress. I know you're a beauty author, but damn, it feels so good to be invisible.
Even without those things, there's been a lot of studies about particularly women's appearance, but the more young, attractive, and thin you are, the more likely you are to like get a job, which is nuts. Also, the whiter you are, and you know, there's lots of other things, but there is a certain standard of which if you look this way, whatever that way is, and that's why it's desirable, because you have an easier time in life. The end. You just do. You know,
I guess. I don't know. I hated feeling hyper visible.
Oh, I get that. I get that a lot because I am hyper visible. Because, okay, there's multiple reasons. I don't have colored hair anymore, so that's like out. But when you're plus size, you take up literally more space. And so people will look at you. I also have tattoos all over my arms, so that really doesn't help, and a couple piercings. And it's the worst though, because I'm like, I know no matter what, if I go out, I will be perceived. People are going to look at me. And it's why I don't go out very much, because I don't want that. I don't like attention on myself. Also why Billy and I did not have a big wedding, because I was like, I don't want a bunch of people looking at me. But yeah, it's something that I feel like I have to like hype myself up. The thing is, I'm getting this attention for the wrong reasons. But
Sure.
but I do get it, unfortunately. I mean, I also basically dress like a toddler, even though I'm pushing 40 at this point. So I don't think that helps.
Basil out here in her fucking Oshkosh bagosh. Like, don't look at me.
Yeah, I straight up have like an overall skirt. That's one of my favorite outfits. But
I was joking. You made it real.
I know, but for real. But regardless of all that, it's not like these pressures don't exist for everyone, especially women. Like in this case, we are talking about white women. So there is a different, category. But generally speaking, I think everybody gets a piece of it, right? And depending on what other box you might check, it might get worse for you. You know what I mean? In terms of how you are perceived and the expectations, are more or less depending. I don't know. Drew, do you want to weigh in? You're a man.
I don't go outside much, so I don't have much experience with much of anything like that. But of course, I do know, me being black, there are some people who don't.
I was going to say, Drew is facing an entirely different subset of challenges that are not apparent in this movie.
But I would like to give Drew space if he wants to talk about that.
I mean, yeah, there are some people who will want to talk to me maybe, and maybe look at me differently because I'm black. Caucasian person of the same age, build, and everything is more likely to get positive reactions than I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does that ever make you ever feel like some days you're like, fuck, I don't want to go out then? I don't know. I know that that's something for me. It's obviously a different reason. But
Not really. I kind of like just knows there. Doesn't really change anything to me. So I just live with it.
Yeah. So I'm the little bitch baby. I got it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, this movie, I think, wants to say something about the way people are perceived, about their value in society. I don't think it does a great job on it, though. You know what I mean?
You have to really, really want to see it.
Yes. And it's not very strong in its saying about this because it also has this sort of negative, these women are catty, and because they're
fighting over a man.
And because two of the few women characters, I mean, there's only 3 characters pretty much in this, or I guess you could say 4, but there's 3 main characters, right? I would say. And so you're not seeing outside like what everyone else is like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have nothing to compare them to. And also, I want to go back to Bruce Willis just for a split second. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I do want to ask the question. He was made to seem purposefully kind of like frumpy, right?
I do think that is a on purpose sort of thing because it's like these women are so beautiful is sort of the idea. But the other thing is about like, this dude ain't shit. He just isn't.
This dude ain't shit. And the funny thing to me about that is that he was Bruce fucking Willis, who in 1992 was considered a prime cut. So for somebody my age, that's kind of funny. Of course, I told myself I wouldn't forget the names of the actresses because they're so Goldie
Meryl
Hawn.
Streep and Goldie Hawn.
Thank you. Are such dime pieces. And then we have Bruce Willis, who is also supposed to be a dime piece, but they're like, no, we're going to make you look like a 3rd grade teacher. A depressed 3rd grade teacher.
I wonder if some of that on purpose. I mean, I know some of it's on purpose. However, I wonder if in terms of him accepting the role as trying to do something different. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, I don't know a lot about Bruce Willis's career, but my impression that he mostly has done action movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially
so like
first part of his career.
Yeah. And so this is just so wildly different from that. It does seem like that kind of thing where it's like, I'm trying to step out to try different roles to hopefully be a more versatile actor, I guess.
Avoid being typecast.
Yeah.
Here's what I really hope he thought, because this is what I would think if I was Bruce Willis. I would be like, oh, geez, oh, shit, oh, God almighty. You have chosen me to be in a movie with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn. End of sentence. Like, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah, especially then.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, this movie reminded me, I'm about to say something really fucking bonkers. This movie reminded me of Repo the Genetic Opera.
Oh, God. Okay.
How so?
I'll tell you why. Just walk with me, okay? Place your hands in my hands. I'll walk you up to it.
I'm walking.
The first thing is that this was a basil pick that there's things to appreciate about it, but on its face, to me, in my opinion, it was pretty fucking tragic. It was a pretty fucking shit show.
Already different from Repo.
Well, Basil, you broke the streak, I think, with beautiful movies, which is good. Good. I needed that to happen. You're like, it's not my fault.
Well, no, I think I've figured out a bit of a through line with a lot of the movies that I pick. And I'm realizing these are things that I like in a movie, which is feminine rage. He's like kind of big throughout a lot of my, not everyone, but a lot of my picks have that going on in it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stew on that one.
Yeah.
Second thing, real quick, that reminded me of Repo was I was like, damn, bitch, you look like Paris Hilton. Did she not?
Who?
She
Madeline?
looked like a grown. Yes, she looked like a grown-ass Paris Hilton. Like
Yeah,
a mature-ass
I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think I would have made that connection if you hadn't said it, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
He does, and it's like so many people have plastic surgery to like make their faces teeny tiny and squunched up like a little baby kitten.
Mm-hmm.
But she's so beautiful. I'm like, bitch, you're amazing just the way you are. I don't know. I guess that's what the movie wants me to believe. That's the whole method to its madness. Can we talk about how these girls are destined for each other at the end of this movie?
And maybe that's why it might be a kind of a gay movie.
These girls, they are, I almost said thriving. They are not thriving. They are not thriving at the hands of one another. But it's almost like they deserve each other. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, one of them starts off doing real bad wrong to the other, and the other one suffers real, real bad for it, and you hate Madeline because of it.
Yeah. However,
then, as the movie goes on, she gets a little rotten evil, doesn't she, Helen?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
She gets way rotten evil, and we find out.
Yeah. I was going to say near the end, they sort of imply that maybe she wasn't so great in the past either.
Oh no, she gets infected to the core with her hatred.
No, but when they're talking, when they're kind of coming together, realizing like, hey, like our relationship has been really combative up until now, and maybe we don't need to keep doing this, essentially. They talk about, she's like, I thought you and your friends never would invite me to your parties because you thought I was trashy. And then she sort of laughs and is like, yeah, we did think you were trashy. So it's not like Helen has been real cool all the time.
Yeah, no, she said, you thought I was cheap. And that was one thing that Bruce Willis did call her that really got under her skin. She was fucking just thrown by that. And part of me wanted them to become like best buds in solidarity. And that didn't really happen, did it? Like they became best buds in a weird kind of way.
In that bickering type of way.
It was in that bickering, passive-aggressive kind of way that I don't ever want to be in the same room with someone who feels like that with me. No, thank you. I cannot stand that. But it made me kind of feel like they deserve each other. Like they're going to ruin anybody else that they're with. Yeah. They deserve to be together forever, even though it is still kind of rotten.
Yeah.
There's a camaraderie there.
I think that's sort of meant to be in the end like, oh, they're stuck with each other, right? Like they're both rotten and toxic and now they have each other.
You fucking deserve each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bitches.
Being some of the only undead people.
Yeah.
The fact they know each other as undead people that stick together. They're the only undead people they know personally.
And especially they seem to have known each other for a long time. I will say though, okay, they're obviously unlikable characters. They're meant to be, obviously. I do think there's something interesting in the fact that, so like I personally do not like to watch really unlikable characters like that, but it's usually men and people laud it and think it's wonderful. And then when it's a woman, they hate it. So it is sort of nice to see these two douchebags be women. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
No, you're so right.
Yeah. Because, like, I cannot watch Breaking Bad. I cannot watch Mad Men because the main characters are awful and I don't enjoy it. But other people do. And it is considered, like, both of those are considered prestigious shows. Now, if you tried to make that show with a woman, everyone would be mad. The way that they were really mad at Skylar in Breaking Bad because, I don't know, she didn't want her husband to sell meth, or Betty Draper.
Show the world a female Rick Sanchez and then they get real hurt all of a sudden. And to be honest, I can't even think of an example.
That doesn't happen as much. And it definitely doesn't get the same attention or praise even when it does happen. You know what I mean?
Did Owl House do it? I only watched a few episodes of that. Did Owl House achieve female Rick Sanchez?
No, because
No,
she was too nice. She was too soft-hearted for that, you know?
I literally only watched the first like 4 or 5 episodes.
No, she is. It's like a prickly person with a heart of gold kind of thing is what it ends up being. But you mean Edna, right?
Yeah.
I think that's her name.
And you want to know what? That's how broad the gap is that I saw Owl House Lady as a female Rick Sanchez. Just because, you know.
One I vaguely remember, but this is also a show I never watched because I don't like to watch unlikable people. But I think it was like Nurse Jackie or something.
Oh my God.
I never watched that either.
Are you talking about Adult Swim?
No. Nurse Jackie was a serious show where she's a nurse who's addicted to pills. It's not unlike House, I suppose. But that's going to be like the closest thing I can think of. And I don't think the show, in terms of numbers, did very well. And I don't know how well lauded the show was. I only like sort of knew about it vaguely. I never actually watched it because, like I said, I don't like to watch things where people are deeply unlikable.
Isn't that, in a way, kind of a good thing that Hollywood doesn't even try to do a female character like that because it's too unrealistic? Because only guys are that douchey and mean. That's
not true, right? Like,
yeah,
we're talking about this film right now where people are pretty bad. Like, these are pretty bad women. It's more that the reaction from viewers are like, is different. You know what I mean? Like, it is vitriolic against women who are unlikable versus, like, you know, again, lauded for that kind of thing.
We have to be talking also about morally unlikable, like their values, their fucking heart is black, okay? Like,
and they are not technically the antagonist in the film.
Correct.
Or show or whatever.
They're like the anti-hero almost. They're the fucking female Rick Sanchez. You're supposed to root for them. You're supposed to wear a hat with them as a pickle on your head and quote them at every turn and harass McDonald's employees about the sauce that they brought up. But there is no female character that we get that with because females are supposed to be pure and nurturing of heart at all times, even if they do bad things like go to jail or flip a truck driver off every now and then. It's their moral makeup that has to be pristine. And in this movie, we've got 2 sour bitches. These bitches are rotten to the core.
Yeah.
And I'm liking it now. Why does this always happen?
Still don't think it's a great movie. Even with all of this.
Yeah.
Even with my praises for it. I mean, now we already know what I'm going to vote at the end, but
I don't want to watch it again either.
But I just, like I said, this is something that I think has come with age, though. You know what I mean? Like, because there's lots of things I used to like and be okay with that I no longer really want to. But yeah, I also think like the movie has this premise and it takes a while to get to the premise and then you're finally there and you're in it for a little while and then they don't know what to do with the premise after that. So it's like, I think the bookend parts of the movie, the very beginning or the beginning, most of the end, the last scene is kind of funny, but they sort of stumble a little after the parts that are the conceit of the whole thing. Does that make sense?
They hit the bullet points that they want to hit, but outside of that, they're just sort of like, how do we connect these? How do we connect these scenes? How do we connect these plot points? I don't like, and I didn't like this even before we discussed this tonight, I didn't like how Bruce Willis's character in the end was given this beautiful eulogy about how he was immortalized by his beautiful deeds and his acts to humanity. This is what the fuck we're talking about. Okay, all the while this preacher is expounding upon the character of Bruce Willis, in the back 40s, you've got these 2 bitches just snickering. They are clad all in black. They've got veils on and they're just like, at every single thing that this preacher says. And I'm like, good for you guys. You have now found your bonding point in the death of this man. I like that. I did like that. But I was like, he got a happy fucking ending, basically.
Yeah.
And they didn't, but whatever.
I mean, I think they wanted to show a contrast of value. You know what I mean? Because the values of these women specifically were to live forever. Part of that end of him sort of saying no to the potion was like, yeah, I could live forever, but I'm not happy and I don't want to be in this sort of scene anymore. And so I think that the kind of eulogy thing is supposed to show that sort of contrast, you know what I mean, about like life only being worth living because of death, blah, 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 blah. But you could also have done that with a different character, like a character that was like better.
Thank you. A character that didn't piss you off because they were sort of like the catalyst of the conflict to begin with. Not the catalyst, but they were the straw that broke the camel's back, and they didn't fucking help. And he not a good person. He was laying in the fucking floor, drinking a Bloody Mary. Tossing the celery out, which is the best part.
What? The best part? Excuse me?
Garnishes are the best part. Oh, put a fucking cocktail shrimp in that shit.
Okay.
Pickled jalapeno.
I do think that, again, they tried to say, oh, he turned his life around. But because we didn't get to see any of it, it doesn't hit the same way, right?
Turned his life around off screen.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's very cheap.
Yeah. And I know, interestingly, I had read a little while ago that I guess there was like another scene that they had considered ending the film on where, and I think it's supposed to give you the same idea, but was like a lot more subtle, where they're in another country and they read about his death in a newspaper or something. And then they're like, great. Well, now we have the rest of our lives. And then they have these like dead looks on their face, like, oh my God, what do we do now? You know what I mean? Which, like, instead of literally falling to pieces on the steps. But that one was really funny, which I think is why they went with it.
Which also, I remember that from the time my mom was watching.
Yeah. It's memorable.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. There are so many memorable things in it, which I think is why I mentioned this to you guys where Sabrina Carpenter had a new music video. I mean, now it's been like, I don't know, a few weeks to a month, but there's a bunch of references in the music video to this film. And I think it sort of holds up because it does have these like very memorable parts in it. But like as a whole, it's a little messy, you know?
Messy is a great word for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not awful. It's not terrible. It's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not, it's messy. It needs work.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, there are things I do like about it in a general sense, but it's just as a whole does not really come together for me.
It didn't grab me.
Yeah. Just to touch again on the memorable scenes thing, the fucking hole through the stomach is just so iconic.
The backwards head was very disturbing.
Yes. I do think the hole is a little better in terms of visual effects. It's a little more realistic, I guess, than the, backwards neck and stuff. But it's iconic, like the imagery from this movie is like very, very iconic.
It's what I remember from the trailers that they played on TV back in the day. That was what they wanted you to focus on and find funny.
I wonder if it was like one of those films where all the funny parts are actually in the trailer and then there's like nothing else.
It's every fucking movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it would be for me today.
Well, for sure. But I wonder if it still was anyways.
Yeah, no, they were still doing that back in the day, I promise you.
Yeah, I know. But they do it a lot more nowadays.
They do it a lot, yeah.
They straight up spoil shit in theater trailers now.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I know. They just show you the whole film and it's like, well, then why do I need to watch it? Especially because like they spoil it in a way where you're not just getting like a piece of information, you're getting how that information comes about. So now there really is no reason to watch it because for me, spoilers don't matter if I don't know the context, right? If I'm like, oh, that thing happens, cool. I wonder how that happens, right? Like I still want to watch for that. But the trailers will tell you that part too. And it's like, well, now I really have no reason to watch this thing.
Yeah. They will also straight up lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. That's the thing about musicals. They will not tell you a film is a musical now. It's insane. You know that the second Joker is a musical?
Huh?
Why?
Yeah. I don't know, but it is.
When you say the second Joker, what is it second? What's the first?
Joker.
The first one's the one with Joaquin Phoenix that's just called Joker.
What? Sorry, I screamed.
Mm-hmm. And they're hiding it because you don't know. Neither of you know about that.
Yeah, but why would you hide that? I want to watch it now.
They
Really?
did that for the Mean Girls one recently. They hid that it was a musical. There was like another film as well. They keep doing that because people think no one wants to watch a musical. And it's like people are going to figure it out eventually. And then if they exclusively won't watch something because it's a musical, they're still not going to watch this because they'll find out.
I'm going to walk out of the fucking theater.
Now, I don't know how much of a musical it is either, though, but I know there was a thing where Lady Gaga was like, oh, it's not a musical. It's just these characters feel things so strongly that they have to break out into song. And I'm like, you just described a musical, bitch. Anyways, do y'all have any closing thoughts on Death Becomes Her? No. Okay.
Oh, it's not really a big thing, but the cameo, if you would, the Elvis joke.
And there's Marilyn Monroe, too. Yeah.
I must have missed this shit.
If you pick your own death, not to go out in public, just to cause a scene.
Ah.
I was having a little fun, that's all it was.
Yeah, there is a scene. It's during the party at the end where all the other people who have taken the immortality potion are, and they pan over and you see both Andy Warhol and Marilyn Monroe like standing next to each other, basically.
Oh, damn. Okay, see, that was a scene that I paid the least attention to. Like, at that point of the movie, I was starting to get like, okay, I've got it. Let's wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, that has been Death Becomes Her, I guess. Do we want to give our yes or no nostalgias? Well, as the person who picked this, it's a nostalgia. I don't know, like, it's so mixed.
We're about to have nostalgia suite. Watch
Yeah.
everybody.
Let's make it a sandwich. Nostalgia for me, but I'll let you continue with yours.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Ooh.
I think it's worth watching once. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that there is some interesting things in it, but I don't think it's a great film. So it is like a soft nostalgia, I guess. So if you're like not in the mood for a film that's just not great, but then don't watch it. But if you're like, hey, I'm curious about this movie, I'm curious about these things that get referenced in pop culture, what's the deal? Give it a watch, but it's not great. So yeah, there's my vote.
Drew, you're the meat of the sandwich.
Soft nostalgia for me.
Okay.
I like the movie. It's, as I've mentioned before, I like slapstick. So that whole thing with them
There you go.
fighting was quite entertaining to me. I didn't find, then again, I'm a male. I didn't think Bruce Willis's character was that bad. So I'm a bad reviewer. I'm not very judging at all, really. Most things. Overall, I like the movie. I'll just leave it there.
You were along for that hayride. And to be fair, I don't think Bruce Willis's character wasn't really supposed to be like the root of all evil. But anyways, I'm going to go with nostalgia. I don't even need to watch the movie a second time because any messages that this movie has to offer, I already fucking knew. You want to know why? Because I'm aging. And I'm trying to do it gracefully. I'm trying to be wisdom 18 out here. So yeah, I don't think that movie had anything striking to offer me in terms of, you know, feminism or anything like that. I don't hate it. Like I wasn't repulsed by it. I loved talking about it with you guys. But yeah, that's all I got out of it.
Also, nice obligatory D&D reference.
It's always you, isn't it, though? So that has been our episode of Yestalgia on Death Becomes Her. Thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Really?